Hi, it's Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Here in blog post we want to share with you, of course, review the latest in social media and technology. This is a phone versus comparison we're doing. We, of course, have all the major phone companies sending us phones. We have the very latest, of course, on here. And we have here the HTC 8X, which is from t-mobile.com. That's t-mobile.com. And on the other side, we have the LG Mach, which is from Sprint, and you can go to sprint.com and see all their phones there. Now, with these two devices, they're very different. One is a Windows-based phone, and one is an Android-based phone. So you can take and decide which OS works, of course, best for you on those devices, and it's really a matter of choice at that point. They're both very fast phones, very competent phones, and were just issued most recently and put on the market. Let's compare the two so you can get a good idea as to how they both work. There's the HTC 8X, which has 5.21 in height, 2.61 in width, and a 0.40 inch depth of thickness. On the LG Mach, we're looking at 4.64 in height, 2.56 in width, and a 0.48 in inches. On the weight, we're looking at 4.59 ounces comparatively to 5.92 ounces on the LG. One aspect of the LG that gives it some weight is it has a flip-out keyboard, which we'll show you here in a bit. The HTC One X has a display screen of 4.3 inches, 720 by 1280 pixels, 342 ppi on the pixels, which is pretty awesome. SLCD2 screen, 16.7 million colors. On the LG Mach, we're looking at a 4-inch screen, 480 by 800 pixels, 233 ppi, IPS LCD capacitive multi-touch screen. On the 8X, we're looking at 11.3 hours in talk time, 12.1 days in standby time, and a capacity of 1,800 milliamp hour batteries. On the LG, we're looking at 9.5 hours talk time, 12.9 days, 10.1 days in standby time for 4G, and the 12.9 is standby time for the 3G. The capacity is 1,700 milliamps. The hardware on the 8X is a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus processor. It's a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz crowd, 1 gigabyte of RAM, 16 gigabytes of built-in storage. On the LG, we're looking at Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus, also dual-core 1.2 gigahertz crowd, and you're looking at 1 gigabytes of RAM, 8 gigabytes of built-in storage, and you can also do storage expansion with a micro SD card up to 32 gigabytes with the LG. The camera on the back of the 8X is 8 megapixels. Front-facing camera is 2 megapixels. Of course, it has video HD 1080p 30 frames per second out the back. The camera on the LG is actually 5 megapixels. Front-facing camera is 0.3 megapixels, and you're looking at 1080p HD out the back. So that gives us a rundown of some of the breakdown of both devices. You can kind of get an idea as to how those are set up. Now, the HTC, of course, is with t-mobile.com. That's t-mobile.com. And the LG is with sprint.com. You can go to their website. HTC at 8X is running Windows, the 8.0. Some people call these Metro tiles, or used to call them Metro tiles. They have live tiles, of course. You can see them spin. You can adjust the tiles, size them, customize them, all that sort of good stuff. You have a flip to the left. You can pull down the list of all the different apps that are on here. It's a beautiful screen and a beautiful device. Very well done. Fairly good camera in it that we'll show you here in a bit. On the LG, you're looking at Android 4.04. Many people like the Android product because it's customizable, probably more than any other phone that's out there. You can add widgets, live wallpapers, and everything else. It's got a great drop-down notification menu and a quick ability to make switches with your settings very quickly and easily. The thing about the LG that is unique to this particular phone, you don't see this too much, and this is actually a really nice phone that has a keyboard that slides out, as you can see here, and it's got a pretty good keyboard for being able to do whatever you want. In fact, I wouldn't call it good. I'd say it's a pretty great keyboard for doing stuff and interacting with the phone. So that's one aspect you have with the LG Mach that you don't find with a lot of phones, having the built-in keyboard. Many people like that, especially if you're a monster marathon texter. That keyboard can definitely come in handy. And the processor on the LG is very fast, very impressive in the runs that we've done with it, especially for dual-core processor. It's an amazingly underrated phone on the LG that we find. The HTC is a very nice phone by comparison also. So let's take a look at some what makes up the phone. You've got your front-facing camera. You've got your speaker on the back, the front there for making calls. On the bottom, we have your capacitive touchscreen of a back button, home button, and a search button. On the LG, we have a front-facing camera here. We have a speaker for your calls. We have a capacitive touchscreen, back button, home button, and menu button. Really, it just comes down to what you want to take and have. Obviously, the Android store has much more apps in it, much more variant of apps. And we're still waiting for a lot of those apps to come to the Windows product. Windows product is slowly building up its app store. It's definitely been behind in coming to the app market, and so therefore it's struggling to catch up to both Apple and Android. You can find really good apps on the App Store, and you tend to pay sometimes a little bit more for them on the App Store. There's plenty of good free popular apps, though. You can see we have Netflix here. I think Hulu Plus is on here, Facebook, of course, Twitter, some of the main ones that might be popular. But we find that our Windows friends that love Windows phones aren't as app-driven. They just want a great phone that makes great calls, and it's pretty consistent, great data phone. And that's what this phone will do, is provide all of that to you. It's a great phone, very handy. It's very thin, very light. It's got a plastic case to it that fits easy in your hand. Same with the LG. Let's go ahead and flip these over and you can take a look at the back. The LG, or the HTC, is very thin, very light. The LG is fits in your hand very easily and very well. It's a little bit bulky with the keyboard, but it does the job, and given its size, it fits easily in the hand. The HTC, we've got a small area up here you can see for the SIM card. We've got the camera in the back, the lamp flash. Beats Audio is on here, and we have a small speaker on the bottom. Beats Audio is pretty nice. It's on all the HTC devices. They own an investment in Beats Audio. If you have a Beats headphone or Beats box, you can take and enjoy the enhancement of sound by plugging those in. As soon as you plug your earphone into the earphone jack, it will activate the Beats Audio. You can turn it off if you don't like it, but I certainly like the enhancement of sound and the equalization that it provides. On the LG, you've got your back camera, your lamp flash, and a speaker area where you can take and do stuff there. Let's take a look around about for both devices so that you can see how they work and how they operate. On the top of the 8X, I've had some problems with the power button. It's very small, and one of the challenges I've had is I usually end up pressing on the body, usually on the back. It might be an old habit of mine from the Lumia 800 and the 920, but I definitely have some challenge with it. Now, I have some big fingers, and that may be my problem. The other thing that's nice about it is since it's so small, it's not constantly turning itself on and off as it's maybe rattling around a purse or a bag. But I've had a challenge with it. You have to get right on it to make sure you turn on or off. There's a small microphone hole right here and an earphone jack, as you can see. Down the left side of the device, there's nothing to see there. On the bottom, we have a small microphone hole and a sync port jack, charge. And we also have on the right side, we have your shutter button for both video and for cameras. We also have a volume rocker button. As you can see here, there's that SIM card area, so you can slide the SIM card into the device. With the LG, what you're looking at on the top is a area for the earphone to go into, the earphone jack, if you will, the microphone hole, and the power button. We have the volume rocker button here on the right or left-hand side of the device, and we have the sync charge port there also. We also have a pull-out area. This is for pulling the back off. We'll show you this in a second. And we have this is a shutter button that we have here for activating the camera and, of course, video. So the back does come off. We'll go ahead and yank that puppy off. And on it, we have a removable battery, if you so choose to pull it out and buy a new one. We also have a place where you can put your micro SD card to take and expand the memory in the device there. So some interesting setups between the two devices. And once again, it really comes down to what you like. We found the LG Mach, even though it only has a 5 megapixel camera, is a great deal, and the HTC One or the HTC 8X, even though it maybe it's got some bigger, faster phones that are out there. At the price point on both these devices, they're great devices to take and check out and have in your mobile phone arsenal, if you will. So they're both great phones. Let's take a look at the camera. Okay, so now camera-wise, it has a pretty good camera on it with the HTC. The Carl Zeiss stuff, I guess they make great cameras somewhere in the world, but I've not really been impressed or even know anyone's using them for these Nokia and HTC cameras for Windows. I've really been unimpressed by them. Okay, so the camera that's on the HTC is it's pretty good. It does a good job. It does a good job with video in well-lit situations. It does a good job with photos in well-lit situations. In the dark with flash, not as impressed with it. And same thing with video. In fact, I'm kind of disappointed on the video in dark environments. But hey, you mostly shoot in well-lit environments, so that's what's important. So let's take a look at some of the menus here. We've got a button, of course, that will take us to the portfolio area. You almost kind of have to really hit and miss, learn the hard way with some of these buttons. But for the most part, you can switch between your camera and your camcorder eye here. You've got different things you can put in. You've got your flash. You've got your front and back camera. You've got some menu items, I believe, right here. I've really struggled with the to just master the basics on this camera. If you press the wrong button, you go into complete different areas, and it's taken me a while to really get it down. It's just not very intuitive, and that's important in products. So you can switch between photo and video. One of the problems is if you push the wrong button, it will take a picture, it will activate the video. You also have your camera button push here. Obviously, if you're buying one of these, you're probably not buying it for the camera, but it will do a good camera job. It's a good little phone, but definitely, if camera's important to you, you may want to look at a higher quality camera phone. So you can kind of see basics of what you can do. You can adjust everything, of course. Here's some dark video that we're really not impressed with. This is shot in the blackness of a room, and it really had problems. We had to take a couple times just to get it to focus. The problem is you press the screen to try and get a focus, like you can with other cameras, it just stops the video, which is really irritating. It really had a hard time. You can see here we've got a well-lit, of course, outside photo shot that we've taken and doing with video, and it comes out pretty good for the colors. Comes out pretty good, not too bad. Dealt pretty well with the sun blasting into it, so it did okay. I mean, I'd say it's a good camera, an okay, good cameras, somewhere in there. So let's take a look at some other things that we have. Here's some shots outside. Good shots. Okay, nothing spectacular to write home to mom about, but definitely the shots are clean. They look good. They're well shot. It's definitely an 8 megapixel camera, so you've got that, and you're going to get good shots. Are you going to get great shots that maybe you might be used to with some more expensive cameras? No, but then you have to spend a whole lot more money. You can just see some of the shots that we took here. Now, this one shot was completely in the dark shot, where we totally in a dark environment, and the flash had to find itself. Not really impressed at how much it picked up in the image or the quality of the color. But like I said, it's a good little phone. I just probably wouldn't buy it for the camera. Okay, so now let's look at the camera. It's a 5 megapixel camera. It does a good job. It's okay. You've got, of course, most of your Android sort of menu system here. You can see you can switch between long video, of course, in MMS when you're in a video mode, if you just want to send short bursts to people. And of course, you can switch between your camera that's there. All these menu that's over here on the UI for the LG, you can take and customize the whole menu as to what you want to have up here. You can, of course, adjust your flash, brightness, focus, image size, scene mode. There's a number of different scene modes that you can take and choose from. ISO, white balance, color effect, timer, geo-tagging, shutter sound, auto review, and all that good stuff. They also have a thing that's kind of interesting with the LG where you can say words like cheese, smile, whiskey, or whatever to make it take photos if you so activate the feature. And it will take the photos for you. So that makes it kind of nice. It takes some of the work out of it, especially if you want to do photos that you might be in. With video on here, of course, like I said, you can choose between the long form video and the short form video. Let's go ahead and kill that flash. You can choose between video size, white balance, color effect, audio recording, auto review, etc., and basically the same sort of menu system that you would take and have with most Android phones. There's also this thing called the live effect that gives you visual effects. You can actually do silly faces, big eyes in space, all that sort of, it's kind of an interesting, funny sort of menu thing that they've set up where you can actually screw with stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Camera-wise, let's take a look at how well it's shot. Now, it shoots pretty well for a 5 megapixel camera. We've been impressed with the LG product. It's not bad. Here's a close-up shot of some wood. Here's an okay shot of a side panel of a car out in some low light. Here's we're just shooting in the sky. The blues aren't as quite as sharp and crisp as we would have liked to have seen in some of the other photos we've seen from other phones. Here's a shot. Looks like it might be a little bit out of focus for us. Here's another shot. This is a much better shot when it comes to the colors. This is a sun going down shots in our neighborhood here. And it does okay. Let's take a look at the video. The colors really don't pop out on us on the video. There's definitely good detail to the camera in its ability to focus and get the detail, but color-wise, it's not as good as 8 megapixel cameras and other cameras that we may have seen. This is a flash down the hallway, so we can measure the light, and in this case, you can kind of see it does okay. Not the greatest in the dark camera when it really comes down to it. Here we're using it in a dark mode with the video lamp, and it does okay. It's not gonna light up the world, but it definitely does okay. It's not bad in any way, shape, or form. But compared to some of the newer phones that you're going to spend a whole lot more money for, I mean, yeah, it could be much better. But the value of where this phone is at on its price point is actually really good. Here's a completely dark shot we took. While it was in the closet, and in the closet you can see here it picked up the close area flash really well, but the colors don't pop. The colors are kind of dead on the screen. But like I said, it is a 5 megapixel camera. It's probably the best you're going to do with what is going on right now. Okay, so in the end, I like both phones. You can check out the HTC 8X by going to t-mobile.com. That's t-mobile.com. And with the LG, you can go to sprint.com. That's sprint.com. Look for the LG Mach. And also check out all the other videos and comparisons we've done using both these phones. And you can search for them on the chrisvossshow.com or YouTube channels. Chris Voss tested, Chris Voss approved. Be sure to check into our channel often and subscribe to all of our things so you can see all the latest updates that we take and do. Thanks for coming by the chrisvossshow.com, and be sure to check back often.